and welcome once again to another episode of the HoriZone Roundtable. I am Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. And joining me, of course, is my co-host, Matt Dudek.
Hey there, everybody.
And Matt, of course, can be found on Twitter at GrizzTalkOU, and you can find the podcast on Twitter as well at HoriZonRT. Today, we've got ourselves a group of folks, group of guys who are going to be joining us a lot more often than they used to. Starting on Thursday, we're going to be starting HoriZone Gamenight, where we will be doing live. We're going to be doing a live show that kind of recaps the evening's games within the Horizon League. So joining us today, first of all, is Karic Jones.
How's it going, guys?
And Karic_Jones at Twitter, of course. And we also have Kyle Craven. He's going to be joining us as well.
Hey, guys, what's up?
And joining us today, again, last but not least, is John Parker.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah. We will have another member of the HoriZone Gamenight crew, Mark Weems. He's going to be on with us as well. Unfortunately, he is a little under the weather today, and so he will not be joining us. Before we get into, and I wanted to talk to you guys a lot, obviously, about this past weekend. A lot of big games going on, a lot of actually surprisingly exciting games, but we're recording this on a Sunday, so there's really nothing else that we should be talking about first, other than this. About an hour or two ago, we got the news that Kobe Bryant, obviously legendary basketball player, was killed in a helicopter crash and somewhere in 30 miles north of Los Angeles, and usually we don't talk a lot about Horizon and non-Horizon League matters, but if you look at the Twitter feeds of all the players, for current players of Horizon League teams, former players of the Horizon League team, you can't deny the influence and kind of the influence that Kobe Bryant had on a lot of players that have walked through this league. I mean, just look at kind of the tweets and the retweets right now. It's so evident, and you can see how one guy can touch so many people.
I mean, the reality is for anyone that's in that 18 to 20, 28, 30, whatever, that category, especially the current Horizon League players, that this was their idol. This was the dude. Like, him and LeBron were the dudes. Like, that's so many of them. This is who we grew up watching.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's if you don't mind, I'll jump in here,
sure.
Bob. It's Kyle. It says a lot that pretty much the entire news cycle stops, even in college basketball circles. For a guy who never played college basketball, he just he meant that so much to the game. And
absolutely.
I've been thinking about it since the news broke. So it's been 2-3 hours now. I've been thinking about impactful, meaningful celebrity deaths in my lifetime. I'm 28, so I was born in 91. Really, this ranks up there for me with Michael Jackson. That's the only other one that I can think of. I mean, Robin Williams was big too, but this is big. I mean, this is one of those that people are gonna remember where they were when they heard about this.
Yeah. And by the way, I'd like to point out the fact every time and by the way, just like Michael Jackson, I heard about the news about Kobe Bryant while I was at the grocery store. So I'm not allowed to go to the grocery store anymore.
Way to go, Bob.
Yeah, you got to warn people before you go to the grocery store.
I'm going to hell, man. I'm sorry, God. This is my defense mechanism. I suck at this. What do you want me to do? But no, it's. I mean, and you guys are absolutely right. It's this guy, Kobe Bryant. He was absolutely, he was the player for a generation, an entire generation. I mean, you think of literally anybody who's currently playing in the Horizon League right now who didn't grow up watching the Lakers and seeing Kobe Bryant and see Kobe, growing up watching, kind of that whole entire thing, and then to kind of in just a minute just lose that. That's life's short, man.
Yeah, I mean, and about this being relevant to the HoriZone League, I mean, in a way, it sort of is because
it is.
I mean, we're a conference that has a ton of NBA cities, so there's a lot of, I think, and the thing is, Kobe had such an impactful career and played for so long that I don't care who you're a fan of NBA wise, he had some battles with your team, and so like me growing up as a Dallas Mavericks fan. I bore witness to many times Kobe went off. I know that, some of our friends with like for you, Bob, I don't know if you grew up a LeBron fan with Cleveland, but I mean, they had some battles as well. The Pistons fans up there.
Just for the record, I'm old, so I had Michael Jordan too. I had Michael Jordan. So to put it to you, actually, this is now when to kind of put this in perspective, the big kind of tragic moment that kind of I had as a basketball fan was actually kind of it's not even close, but not even close compared to this, obviously. But I was a senior in high school when Magic Johnson announced that he was retiring because he was HIV positive. It hit like that for me at that point in time. I can't even imagine what kind of the thought is now.
Bob, is it true that you were alive when they invented basketball?
Yeah, do you remember Mr. Naismith?
That had to be devastating for you, right, Bob?
Yes, I remember the day when they finally cut the bottoms out of those damn peach baskets, and you didn't have to get up and go grab the ball out, and it was such a long time ago. I'm glad you guys can take solace in my oldness. Thanks, appreciate it. Whatever gets you guys through the day. But no,
we're just trying to get you through the day, Bob.
Well, good luck with that. But yeah, it's that's kind of my parallel, obviously. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where but like I said, the influence is never going to go away. And to everybody else's point, name a HoriZone League player right now who isn't or who hasn't, looked at, seen footage of Kobe Bryant and wanted to emulate him in some way, shape, or form. And you'd be hard pressed to do that. You really would.
Probably Loud in Love would be the only one, but that's it.
Oh.
I think that Oakland could probably have used Kobe Bryant, still retired, and probably at least been competitive this past week.
He well, to be fair, he did have eligibility left right out of high school, so. Oh, okay, yeah. So so now I'm glad I'm not the only one going to hell here. So anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say about the whole situation. I mean, it's still pretty, whenever you're listening to this, I mean, you may be listening to this on Sunday night, and it's still really raw, and it's going to resonate for a long time. It really is. I mean, it really is. It's definitely one of those things where you're just thinking to yourself, "Damn." I mean, I remember, never mind. I would say something else, but then that would elicit a bunch of other old jokes. So, so now that we've kind of spoken our piece on that one, as they used to say many times, let's get into the games that we play. And we played quite a few of them this weekend. And John, I know you've been doing the HoriZone League power rankings on HoriZoneRoundtable.com, and I'm sure this weekend didn't make things any easier for you.
So at the top, definitely did. Everywhere else, useless.
You got the bottom too. You've got the top and the bottom solid.
That is true. That is true.
John, I'm
curious. A lot of
you
are saying Oakland at the bottom, especially Matt. I don't know if I'm ready for that, just because it was another game where Burke and Manette, 60% effective field goal percentage together, and they had almost 70 points between the two guys. It's just not something that's been sustainable. So if they go another 5 games before it happens again, I'm torn.
Yeah. So
I'm not.
Yeah, in terms of I agree with you, John, because I mean, but it's interesting is that we've said for a long time that Jalen Manette and Marcus Burke had the ability to have these types of games, but combining for almost 70 points, they're not going to do that every time. They can't do that every time. And
no, because some teams figure out a way to play defense and change something. Unlike Oakland, that has to do everything Campy's way all the time, and it didn't work. He even said in his postgame, well, maybe I should have doubled them. Well, no shit. Maybe you should have figured that out at halftime when they were already at like 30 points apiece.
Run the triangle in two or something, yeah.
Oh, man, yeah.
I mean, something. It's not like those three big guys can't defend the paint.
Put them in the bottom. There, congratulations, IUPUI. You are now no longer in last place in the HoriZone League Power Rankings written by John Parker, which will be on HoriZonRoundtable.com. However, but obviously, it's funny because I actually had to do some research. I actually had to look at this last night at the end of the games that were played yesterday. I actually had to look at this. Last year, I wrote a reference last year. Last year, teams 2 through 8 were separated by 2 games at the halfway point of the season. 18 places 2 through 8, they were separated by 2 games, just 2 games. Fast forward to this year, and guess what? 2 through 8 separated by 2 games, and 3 through 8 is only separated by 1.
Can't say that the HoriZone League doesn't have parity.
Yes, and they do.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the big things because I kind of have to weigh, is losing at Cleveland better than losing in your own building to, Milwaukee, who's currently going to be listed at number 3 just because of tiebreakers?
No. Let's clarify, John. Milwaukee didn't just lose; they got embarrassed.
Hey, what you're talking about.
You know what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, somebody wanted us to talk about Milwaukee, so let's go ahead and talk about how Milwaukee couldn't do jack squat against Cleveland State after beating Youngstown State in overtime. And by the way, speaking of Youngstown State, I think we should really officially just call the Beagley Center the House of Heart Attacks, because that's what the hell it is right now. They're all going to be, every game in that building is just going to be a last minute, just going to be decided at the last second. Every last one of them. Every single one of them. So Beagley Center is now going to be called the House of Heart Attacks. To your point. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say to your point, Bob, about this league only being separated 2 through 8 by 2 games. I mean, a lot of that. So I've been saying this for the last few years, and obviously you guys have been a part of HoriZone League hoops for much, much longer than I have. But my observation is that, I mean, genuinely, the league from a talent perspective, when you remove everything else and you just line the players up talent wise, the league really isn't separated too much, in my opinion. Like, I feel like every team's got 1, 2, 3 guys that are all like really talented players in a vacuum. And so that's why, coaching, game plan, preparation, adjustments, all of that stuff is so elevated in this league versus like, Coach Calipari at UK can have a bad coaching game and his team can bail him out based on their talent. Yeah. But like in this league, it's so important. That's why you see UIC beat Wright State. That's why you see NKU lose to Wright State by 32. I mean, well, there's a lot of reasons there, but there's a lot of reasons why you see these like random upsets happen. And God bless John for like trying to make sense of it all, because I really do think that like it's not something that can be always made sense of,
Yeah, that's true.
John, why do you hate yourself? That's what I've been trying to figure out for a long time. I just have to ask you now that we have you on for a minute. Why do you hate yourself? What is it? Is it deeply rooted in something else? Like, why?
So at the end of the day, I mean, I kind of admit, like, hey, I'm putting too much thought into this because in 3 days, there's going to be one game that'll flip the entire list, So.
Yeah. That's true, and that's exactly what happened. Now, yeah, exactly. Going into Saturday, and we'll talk a little bit. We'll talk about. Sorry, Kyle, but we'll talk about Wright State, Northern Kentucky, a little later on. But going into Saturday, Green Bay and Milwaukee. Green Bay and Milwaukee had a golden opportunity. Both teams to finish the first half 6-3, get into a 3-way tie with Northern Kentucky for second place, and kind of make a run at it. And Green Bay came close, but not quite. And Milwaukee absolutely didn't. And now, instead of being in a second place tie with Northern Kentucky, they're now in a third place tie with Youngstown State.
And
who I actually do. Yeah.
Quick comment for anyone who, either, any of you guys or anyone listening who didn't watch it, go watch a replay of the Green Bay Youngstown game. Maybe I'm forgetting some bad basketball early on, but that was a phenomenal game.
Oh, it really was. It really was. I mean, I'm telling you, man, House of Heart Attacks has some really nice games. I mean, I don't know what it is about that arena that everybody basically, and it's funny because the challenge that Youngstown State is going to have in the second half is they're going to need to play on the road, and also they've got Northern Kentucky and Wright State in their building. And I don't know, and Youngstown State definitely played Wright State close at the Nutter Center. So I can't even imagine what they're going to do at the House of Heart Attacks. Now Green Bay has to do some real soul searching because again, and this wasn't exactly a pristine. It wasn't actually a pristine trip into Ohio this time around either, because they were up pretty high. They were up by double digits on Cleveland State. They were up by 12 with about 3 minutes left in the game on Thursday, and they almost blew that lead because Cleveland State did what Cleveland State seems to be doing all season and clamped down on defense, and all of a sudden their shots fell. And then in Saturday, all the shots fell for Cleveland State, which never happens. Like ever.
If they could not fall on the return trip, that'd be awesome.
I'm not making any guarantees, but there's a distinct possibility. But yeah, it's funny because I was watching the game on ESPN Plus, and they were talking about this is and the whole discussion was this is probably that first half against Milwaukee was probably, according to the announcers, was probably the best half of basketball they played all season, and they're doing it in Game 9 of the conference schedule, which is funny because when you look at this year as opposed to last year that had way more talent but apparently a B-movie villain coaching. Totally night and day. I'll be honest with you, as a Cleveland State fan, I'm just jazzed I'm in the log jam now.
Bob, to the point I made earlier, not to toot my own horn here, but Cleveland State's a team that you guys lost to almost everybody.
Yeah.
And you've gotten some really good wins under your belt, and you're in a position that I don't think anyone reasonable, except that one random idiot that voted for you guys to win the whole league, would have had you guys in this position. And I am telling you, I think I've tweeted it before. I'm a little scared to put it out there as a thought because knowing me, I could easily be wrong. But I think we're going to be sitting here 3 years from now talking about how Dennis Gates is one of the best coaches in the league. So I think he's done an incredible job with you guys. And it goes to show, like, Cleveland State. I mean, I would argue that you guys don't even have the guy like Manette or Marcus Burke or anyone like that. Like, I would argue the IUPUI on a talent plane is probably more talented even than you guys, but he's just got you playing so well as a team and playing such great defense.
Yeah. And
I would be really excited if I was a Cleveland State fan. Just saying.
So are you implying that good coaching actually makes a difference, and that even a team like Cleveland State that lost everybody is playing well. Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, I
So
know
are you
exactly
saying
where you're
therefore that
going.
losing
Here's a
your
great
entire
segue.
team,
Hang on,
losing your entire team isn't
time out.
the end of the day?
Matt, hang on. Let me lay down this soapbox and give it a quick dusting real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Dudek.
I just get the impression what you're saying is that even a team like Cleveland State that lost everybody to transfers and had all this turmoil due to coaching is playing well. So therefore, it's not always about talent, but coaching becomes a factor in if a team plays well. Is that what I'm gathering here?
I think that's a reasonable opinion.
I like that opinion. In fact, I especially like that opinion. Hey, So I'm just gonna call this the Dennis upgrade, because that's what it is. We upgraded from Felton to Gates, and give a lot of credit to Dennis Gates. I mean, if you look at that, you're absolutely right, Kyle. You're talking about a guy who he has from a talent perspective, he not anywhere. Theoretically not anywhere near. I mean, you got a couple of holdovers, but he's getting the most out of everybody.
It's crazy. You guys are playing the best team basketball of anyone in the league, in my opinion. I mean, that's kind of a shooting from the hip for me saying that, but honestly,
I mean, we're talking about. I mean, you're talking
other than Wright State.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I was totally. I mean, last year Al Eichelberger did not have a good year. I think even by Al Eichelberger's own admission, he would say he didn't have a good year. You look at him now, and it's night and day. I mean, he has grown into, I don't want to say one of the most dominant front court guys in the conference. I say, I might be talking out of my ass, but I really do think so at this point in time. I mean, he's the guy they body up on everybody, all the big guys. Does it work all the time? No. I mean, Loudon Love kind of proved that, but I mean, he's Loudon Love. But, but if he went up against, when he was going up against, Oakland's guys, he seemed to be holding his own. When he went up against Justin Miller, completely neutralized him. I mean, and it's good to have that, and I really do, and I know he's a transfer, so there's always the specter of the grad transfer coming along. But I really hope he stays another year. I really.
Can I just make a comment on that one, Bob?
Yes, please.
If I was 6 foot something and playing basketball, I would be Justin Miller, so I wouldn't give Justin Miller that much credit.
Hey, Justin Miller's had some good games, though. Now, to be
Justin
fair.
Miller also, every game I've covered this year, I've walked out when the team walks out with 3 pizzas.
Wow.
So
he's hungry.
Hey, man, it's a long game. That's what I do. Carbo load. Absolutely. I'm down with it. Or at least I would be, but not right now. But anyway, yeah, but I'm actually very glad you brought up Detroit, because Detroit Mercy, of course. Now, I got to ask about this. This is insane. Somebody's got to explain UIC to me right now, because you're talking about a team that so UIC, who gave up a 30-point run to Northern Kentucky, then turns around against Detroit Mercy and scores 22 straight points, and somehow loses both of the games. Both of them. Now, the first game, obviously, you're giving up 30 points straight. You're not going to win that game. But to rattle off 22 straight points and then somehow lose. I have no explanation for that.
Yeah, again, it's coaching. McLean sucks. And I'm sorry. Like, I hope, I don't even care, actually. You know what? We could use the clips.
We've been talking about how bad Steve McLean is for how long now?
Yeah, you know what? We could use the listens. All right, they need to. I started the hashtag when we went on that 30-0 run. I put the hashtag Fire McLean out there. Had a few USC fans tweeting as well. So
there's USC fans?
Yeah, a couple of them. They kind of crawled out of their hole out there. But yeah, it's weird, man. And to me, it just goes to show, like, the team again, they're talented, but they're just poorly managed. I mean, they beat Wright State because of. Well, you guys have mentioned, obviously, I don't want to take this away from y'all, but a lot of y'all on the call have mentioned that it was a lot of Jordan Blatt had to do with that Wright State win. But like
kryptonite. Yep.
Yeah. Which, I even mentioned that in my latest article for Norse Report, hoping that, they're the ones who end up knocking off Wright State so we don't have to face them in the tournament. But I just think, again, it just goes to show that like the talent is there for them. Like they obviously can go on a 22-0 run. They can hang with Northern Kentucky in the first half and look really good. But then like that guy can't coach his way out of a freaking paper bag.
It's true. It's true.
He is only as good as his talent, and luckily for him right now, his talent is very good. But when they actually need something strategic, when they need some X's and O's, he's putting down like P's and R's.
That's true.
They have 4 seniors, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 4 of their starters are seniors. They are effed next year. Like I can't. They're gonna win like 3 games, and that guy will be on his ass.
Yeah, he will be
if he doesn't get fired this year.
Which he will. Come on, we're not.
Yeah, good point.
This guy.
Well, apparently he's got a buyout. I think is what I've heard. Right? He's got
a year left on his contract. I can't imagine it could be all that much, but yeah, he's boned.
Yeah, they have to.
I heard it's in the 100,000s or something. I don't know. Chris Hart, who's he's Norse Report's co-owner. He's well learned on UIC, just being from the area, and he was telling me something about how he was pretty sure that they wouldn't. It would be a really tough decision for them to buy out McLean or not, because he does have like a 6-figure buyout on his contract. I thought is what he was saying.
Somebody get on the horn with Curtis Granderson. Tell him to scratch a check and call it a day.
Right?
Come on. Curtis Granderson's good for it.
I'm not going to lie, though. I miss Howard Moore.
Yeah.
Can they get Howard Moore back?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He was so bad. That's why it was fun. I distinctly recall a year that Detroit Mercy beat UIC 140-something to like 60 at home.
Wow,
a regular score that year.
Man, are we really going to talk Howard Moore on the same day as this Kobe tragedy? Like,
let's not do that.
I feel a little weird on this one.
More than somewhat. How is he doing, by the way? I know, obviously, I know we talked about it on the podcast before. Former UIC coach Howard Moore, in the offseason was involved in an accident, and I believe I think his wife and daughter were killed in the accident, and he was severely injured.
It was a drunk driver from Michigan, yeah. So
he's still on staff at Wisconsin. Apparently, he is. I
don't know. Yeah, I think he's been. I can't recall correctly, but I think he's been. I want to say he has been to a couple of games, but Wisconsin folk, if you could clarify that for us, that would be awesome. But yeah, that was just as sucky as the Kobe news today. I'm not gonna lie.
And I had kind of been trying to keep track of that, and I hadn't heard anything for a while. I know months ago he had like a second incident where he had to go back to the hospital, and
yeah, I know he's still. I know he's still. That's gonna be. I mean, even now, I'm sure he's still on the long road to recovery.
Yeah.
So obviously, as a former HoriZone League coach, I mean, obviously we're definitely still pulling for him. So now that you've taken us down that dark turn, Karic, I was going to mention the fact that you guys won on a buzzer beater, but now I'm just too bummed to talk about it.
It was fun, I guess.
And by the way, the buzzer beater was not shot by Antoine Davis.
Yeah, it was shot from a guy that I'm pretty sure they didn't want shooting the ball.
I bet they didn't. He overshot it. He got it blocked in.
Yeah, it was. Don't even get me started. They have 3 good players. They need 3 more if they're going to be good.
Yeah.
They have 3 starters right now, and they're trotting out that poor Belgian kid.
The poor Belgian kid.
I'm not sure he knows that he's in Detroit. I feel like they sold him a false bag of goods. There's something else, man. I don't know. Maybe they'll win 3. Maybe they'll lose the next 3. I couldn't tell you. I'm not
But
ready to tap on
but
a
you know what?
bandwagon.
But Detroit Mercy is still in the mix now. They're in the logjam still.
Yeah, and they're playing better.
Surprisingly enough, they're still in the logjam.
They're finding ways to win without Davis having to score 25 points. So,
and that's what they needed to do. They had to do that. I mean, because everybody's game planning for him.
But he's still taking 20-some shots per game. It's like it's
the problem.
And you can get away with that if you're playing, say, for example, IUPUY, even when Marcus Burke and Jalen Manette aren't going off for 70 points. You're not going to get away with that with anybody. I want to say you're not going to get away with that from everybody else, but they won 4 games in conference, so it makes sense that one.
And the good news for Detroit Mercy is they get Oakland this week, and right now they're a punching bag.
There you go.
I see it. I don't see anything changing, and I mean, that Antoine Davis is good to go off at any point, and he hasn't had a great game recently, so he's due for one. I mean, Detroit Mercy, like you said, they're right in the logjam. Nothing bad to say. I can't rule them out. That's for sure. No,
that's true. You're absolutely right. I mean, and again, realistically, I mean, if you look at anybody, I mean, even Northern Kentucky. Sorry, Kyle, but I think even Northern Kentucky could be susceptible if they, mess the bed in a couple of games. I mean, that's what I see. In all honesty. But any one of the teams between 2 and 8, I think if they have themselves a run, and it's possible, they can jump up. They can jump up a little higher. I mean, let's be honest right now. Wright State is 2 games up on everybody right now. So unless they have like the most epic collapse in Wright State history, it is absolutely their league to lose. And then we all have to cross. Then we all have to cross our fingers and hope they get upset in the tournament.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw something back real quick. So we were talking about Antoine Davis's efficiency numbers. I'm not doing. It's hard to do a ton of digging live on a podcast, but I did pull up his Sports Reference. This is an interesting little piece for Karic here. Karic, they're 3-1 in conference when Antoine Davis shoots under 20 times a game.
That's not surprising. I knew when they played Toledo and almost won with him out. It's not even, he's not a bad player. I don't think he's a bad kid. He is being told the wrong thing.
Well, there you go.
It's. I mean, you look how good Chris Brandon's been because someone else has had to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what Justin Miller, who is not in basketball playing shape, look what he did in the second half yesterday.
Yep.
It's just feet. That is his niche. Is he's so much bigger than everyone else, physically bigger. You're not gonna stop him. He weighs 40 more pounds than you.
Yeah,
that's gonna push you over.
I do look forward to the Xavier Hill Mays Miller battle this week. That's a lot of human.
Yes, wow. A lot of human.
Karic on the flip side of that, if he shoots 20 times or more, his highest being 26 on the season, they've won only 2 games, and there's way too many L's on here for me to count efficiently.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean that tells you something. They gotta. This isn't the year, so they gotta ring it in for next year.
14. 2 and 14 when he shoots over 20 or more times a game. So.
I mean that tells it all.
That's insane.
And I mean it's like Matt said, it's volume shooting. It's not even that like he's having a good game. It's just he's 6 for 20.
Yeah.
And 4 of those 6 are from 3. Like it's stuff that if your dad wasn't the coach, you wouldn't be allowed to do. No, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, you turn around and you get if Detroit Mercy's big issue is they got like for example against UIC they got more people involved and didn't have Antoine Davis wasn't shooting whenever we feel, shoot first, ask questions later. There was a little bit more distribution involved. And, when you're three, I know it's counterproductive for Antoine Davis to not shoot that much, but if he shoots less, it seems to be that they are a little bit more successful. And again, back to what I've been saying a lot over the last God knows how many podcast episodes, Horizon League teams are expecting that. They are game planning for that. They are game planning for finding another way to beat us besides Antoine Davis. UIC apparently didn't game plan, so I mean, there you go. They apparently
not well.
I think the game plan was we'll rattle off 22 and hope and pray. We'll rattle off 22 and hope and pray that we can hold on to the lead, which we couldn't.
Fun stat from the game that I heard Jeremy Otto say on the broadcast. So I have to say, being sick a majority of the last 7 home games, he is not hard to listen to. And that is a change of pace from who we've had to listen to on ESPN Plus for the Titans. Not speaking of a certain local radio personality I happen to be good friends with but can't stand listening to. So they held Ferguson to no points in the first half.
None. Yeah.
None.
That's true. Yeah,
and I don't know if it was just good team defending. I don't know if that was their plan, because a lot of the time with Detroit Mercy, I'm hesitant to if they actually have a plan. Sometimes it just, I think he just says, go, figure it out, and then yells at them when they don't figure it out correctly. But they were doing something right, and really, they held them to a pretty low percentage from 3. It just happened to be that Adi's 3s were all very, very well timed.
Yeah,
they were at the end of shot clocks, from the elbow, and they weren't doing anything. Nobody was doing anything about it. 2 of them were just completely wide open. They just waited, flexed around the zone. 5 seconds left in the shot clock, kicked it back out to him, and he scored.
Yeah.
The final. It looked at the end on that second to last sequence that they were going to blow it. They missed the 3. Probably wasn't where he should have been shooting from. The whole bench seemed deflated. Then they get the stop. Davis hits the 3, and then they get the chance and win at the end. But my biggest concern as a Detroit Mercy fan is we've now been in the situation where you need to win a game at the end, and you have timeouts. Do you know what Mike Davis doesn't think about doing? Is calling a timeout. He's like, we've practiced it enough. Just figure it out.
Well, I mean, yeah. And that's been, that's not exactly been, and that's come to burn him at least. I believe this wasn't the first time they've been in a situation where they were in a last second situation. I believe the Green Bay game they were also
4 times.
And also, oh yes, that's right. And the House of Heart Attacks, the Youngstown State game, did the exact same thing. You're absolutely right.
That's when he couldn't inbound.
That one I couldn't understand myself either. And I still don't understand that. The fact that you have timeouts left, you have plenty of time on the clock, but you say, okay, we're going to let you guys have run this before, go run it. Without calling a timeout and maybe doing something, maybe reminding them to do that. Just kind of throwing that out there.
Well, there was that one time where they did call a timeout and then they couldn't inbound the ball securely. So
that's true. But again, they're at the point where but again, they're still in the conversation, in the middle of the pack. Make sense of that one.
So all this is great. Don't get me wrong. I want to switch. I know we only have a couple more minutes. Can we talk about this Wright State, Northern Kentucky ass whooping? Because we haven't talked to Wright State for a couple minutes.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Sorry, Kyle, but you deserve to talk about this before we wrap.
I thought I was trying to drag out my answers on the other crap because I was press up against the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't be doing our jobs as the Horizon Roundtable if we don't talk about the 1-2 matchup that happened this week and the complete ass whooping that got dropped on Northern Kentucky by Wright State.
Wow. I could not believe seeing that. That is
now,
and again, we're talking about, and it's funny because
do y'all call it a
literally
switch when they beat you that bad? Is that when they say go?
Well, hang on. So
Okay.
are we doing analysis here, or is this going to be like a roast session? Because I'm just going to go on mute and take it if that's the case.
No, I just want to. Well, here's my question, and this is the part I don't really understand. Okay, because I'm pretty sure last episode we pointed out the fact that Northern Kentucky was, up until this game, the best defense, statistically the best defense in the HoriZone League. They gave up the least amount of points, and they got a 95 spot dropped on them. What the hell happened?
Well,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I got you.
It seems like it's kind of a perfect storm of.
I'll give you a very quick breakdown. So first of all, this is a plug here, but Bob, thank you so much for sharing it.
Obviously.
I did write an article. If you guys are familiar with the episode with the movie Waterboy, there's a scene.
Waterboy. Oh no, we stuck again.
That's the title of the article. It's a satirical title. Sort of like making fun of the overreaction of Norse fans.
I got Waterboy in my head now, and all I can hear is alligators are hanging because of medulla oblongata.
Yep. That is a scene from the movie.
Bob, if you need to mute, you can. Let Kyle talk, Bob.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Play nice with your guests, Bob. My gosh. No, I'm just kidding. No, okay. So seriously though, I did a little bit of a, chill the F out. Like, we're fine. Obviously I don't feel that way 100%. There's definitely some holes that were exposed. And so just a quick few things. Number one, we shoot, I believe it's we shoot the 13th most threes in the nation. Out of every team in the country, we're 13th in 3-point attempts. So as we all know, you're shooting a 3-pointer from 28 feet away from the basket. That's obviously the highest variance shot. It's great analytically when it goes in, but when it doesn't, it's bad. And it's the highest fluctuation between makes and misses, right? So when you play that kind of style of basketball, you're gonna have bad shooting nights, and that means you're probably gonna play pretty bad that game. On the flip side, we play this matchup zone. And we do it to mitigate our lack of size. So we play a matchup zone, we push our guards up at the 3-point line, and we also bring our bigs up to play around the right outside the restricted area, about where the HoriZone League logo is in the paint. And the whole idea of it is to push teams away from the basket. The problem there is when players get beat one-on-one. So, like, for instance, Bill Wampler did an amazing job of it in that game. He beat his matchup almost every time off the dribble. So more so than any other zone, that kills a matchup zone. And so it allowed Wright State to get so many open looks. We normally guard the 3-point line. We're the 10th best 3-point defensive team in the country. Wright State shot 12 for 22 from 3, 54%. So, like, that's just a game that, like, when it was 10-2, and I'm sitting in my seat, people around me are like, Kyle, why aren't you cheering? And I'm like, we're going to lose this game. Like, you knew it was going to happen because they just outplayed us. And, like, yeah, obviously the 3-point shooting and stuff, those are like excuses, whatever. But there was obviously other stuff too that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Loudon Love was getting hands on the ball. He was physically imposing, and it was just discouraging to see that our bigs really couldn't hold him that well. But ultimately what it came down to is we shot 4 of 22 from 3 for 18%. They shot 12 of 22 from 3 for 54%. And I mean, like, there's a lot of other reasons, but, like, primarily that's your ball game. And why I'm not worried too much is again, in the article, there's a lot of reasons listed on all the different accomplishments we've had, but we have literally played with our entire squad for like 3 games this year. Dantes Walton, who, as we all know, was a favorite for HoriZone League Player of the Year during the non-conference schedule, hasn't played for 10 games. He'll be hopefully back eventually, and we're going to be a totally different team when that happens. So, like, that's my sales pitch. All right, look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that Wright State's not the best team. They absolutely are. And there really isn't a second place compared to them right now. That said, we still got, 9 games left. So it's, a lot can happen in the second half of the season. That's all I got. So I'm going to go on mute and let you guys all say what you need to say to that.
Kyle, you're so much smarter than me.
Well, but I will say that, and to your point, obviously, every team in this league has had at least one bad game. Even Wright State has had a bad game, and I think I would just kind of chalk this up to Northern Kentucky just having a bad game, on top of the fact that Wright State was hitting on all cylinders. I think it was a perfect storm, to tell you the truth, of just everything going right for Wright State and everything going wrong for Northern Kentucky. The return game, however, I think it's going to be a whole different ball game, because not only because of the fact it's going to be a BB&T arena. Also, you got to think Dantez Walton is back before then. Gotta think he's back for them. And I'm pretty sure that's the last game of the season for them, isn't it?
It is. It's Friday on. It's going to be on network TV. I'm not sure if it's ESPN or ESPN2, but it's definitely going to be. It's one of those like national games. So I will say this too. Like, I'm not sure how much it showed through on TV. I know Grizz Gang was tweeting a lot about it. Mm-hmm. That was the most electric environment that I've been in a Horizon League game. That team and those fans and that marketing department, that was you guys beat us in the Horizon League Championship last year. That's not okay. We're going to kick your ass tonight. Like, every single person wanted that, and just the level of energy. Like, that's why I said when it was 10-2 and just everything that had already happened to that point, just leading up to the game, I was like, we're losing this game. If Dantez Walton doesn't come in, because he was dressed and he did all the warm-ups, full speed and everything. And he had a full jersey, full uniform on, and he even had his warm-up shirt on, first seat in the bench, like only halfway on. So, like, I do think he's close. Sure. And the whole time I was sitting there thinking, like, well, if he's not back within the 12-minute mark, like, he's not going to play and we're going to lose this game. So
I have to imagine he's probably not that close, because if he was close, he would have tried to get in that game. I think that's actually a telltale sign that he might not be as close as they want him to be.
Well, to that point, that I will say this. What I've heard is...
sorry, Kyle. I hate to do this to you guys, but unfortunately, there's I need to cut. I actually do need to cut this off right now. So we'll have a lot more discussions about this later on. Obviously, we got the live show coming up, but again, thank you guys all for joining us. Kyle, where can everybody find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Norse Report. My personal is in the bio on there, but just follow Norse Report. We need some followers.
Okay. So, and John Parker is underscore at JJ Parker 084, I believe.
Yep.
All right, and Karic, obviously, at Karic_Jones.
Yep.
And so, so again, as always, episodes of HoriZone Roundtable are on HoriZonRoundtable.com, wherever you find podcasts, and on your Amazon Echo and Google devices. So, again, thank you guys for listening.